Welcome back to our 11th episode of Library Lights, and this month we've brought together 4 members of our library team. So just before I do that, I will introduce the team that we've got today. So hi, I'm Megan, and I'm here with my co-host Veronica.
Hi, I'm Veronica, and on the pod today we have our library manager, so I'll ask her to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Kate. I think I've been on one episode of the podcast so far, so this is my return visit, and I'm the Knowledge and Library Service Manager. I'm going to hand over to Dan, who's also joining us today.
Hello, I'm Dan. I'm the library assistant at Musgrove, and this is my first ever pod, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, we thought for this session, it's summer, it's been really hot. We thought we would just have a nice discussion about books, because what else are you doing if you're not staying inside to avoid the sun and reading books, really? So yeah, we're over halfway through the year already. I can't believe we've done nearly a year of podcast sessions. So it's quite nice to have a little catch up with our team. And we're also halfway through our year of reading. And I know we've had some initiatives, and thank you, Love Musgrove, for everything they've been able to do for us for the year of reading this year. Um, so my first question is, what do you think stands out the most to you so far from our year of reading challenge? I don't know if anyone wants to kickstart us off.
Well, being the guy in the library, I've definitely seen an increase in the use of the wellbeing section. I would say lots more people this year coming in and browsing the leisure reading stuff that we have, the fiction, the equality diversity stuff. And obviously, I'm sure we'll come on to the international collection, but lots of uptake on that. It's been really positive.
I've really liked seeing every time I come in, and obviously we've got the book reservation trolley just behind, and seeing all of the well-being books and the international author books that have been waiting to have been picked up. And I think I spoke to a couple of preceptees when I was doing the training a couple of months ago about one of the books in my collection called The Ark, and I think that one has gone out about 4 or 5 times at this point. What about you, Veronica?
I have also really enjoyed the engagement of people with our new books, and it's lovely to see that new collection being utilised so well. I've certainly enjoyed the few books that I have borrowed from it so far. I think I've read 3 from the collection, but just those 3 books have broadened my understanding of different cultures, and it's also encouraged me when I'm looking for books, not from our library, but from the public library or books that I buy, to maybe start buying some books written by authors of other nationalities and broaden some of my cultural awareness. So I think it's been a great initiative.
Yeah. What about you, Kate? Have you seen any surprises that...
I think for me, it's just been the conversations we've been having with colleagues. So as they're coming in to bring their books back, sort of chatting about the books, and people have been submitting book reviews, not just from our kind of new collections, but from just books they're reading as part of the reading challenges, and just kind of getting a few more books to add to my to be read list.
Yeah, I've had a
or
lot of
TBR
in the little
in the lingo.
review cards as well for the...
My Goodreads book wish list is like horrendous now. But it's just really nice just to be able to talk to people about reading. I think because we're in the kind of healthcare library business, most of the books that we circulate are medical or clinical, or they're about leadership and management, and just be able to talk about fiction. We're all bookworms, really, at the end of the day. So to be able to have a whole year to celebrate that, and to kind of encourage colleagues to read, and just have some really lovely conversations, has been wonderful.
And I think people have also really enjoyed the conversations that they've had with each other. We've got the little corner on like a little Teams channel that we've put together for anyone doing the challenges and want to share reviews. And anytime someone submits a review, I've been making little review cards and sharing them. And you can tell we've had 2 or 3 reviews of the same book, and then it's sort of generated a discussion when people are like, "Oh, who read this one?" And that's been really lovely to see. And I've had a few comments of people when I've made a review card who have emailed in to say, "I love seeing my review sort of on a card. It's been really nice to
And all on the
see
website as well now.
all on the
So
website."
everyone can go to our website. We can put the link in the information, and check out our Year of Reading page. There's loads of great book reviews on there as well. So
And I think part of just going back to like the conversations we've had, we've also run 3 stands at the MPH concourse. And that's been a really nice experience. And I think we've all taken a turn at the stands.
Yeah, I think I have. Oh, it's been really good fun. I really enjoyed the ones that I did. We kind of took a selection of our international author collection out there. We wrapped them up as blind dates so people could, and you just wrap it up and you put a tag on it. It's just got 3 words that describe it, and people don't really know what they'll be guessing. So, kind of issued a few of those, and we took our patient library trolley out there as well. So we're just talking to patients as they're passing as well about reading and patients' families and just more lovely conversations. So I really enjoyed them.
Patient Library actually has been getting a lot of love this year as well, I think, because the volunteer, Michelle, has been taking it out on the wards and generating lots of conversations with patients that way. So yeah, it's just a really nice way of getting the word out there and helping people and keeping people entertained.
Yeah, I think it's been really interesting to hear. So when the patient library trolley goes out, if anyone's got sort of a particular book that they want to read or a genre of books, and obviously Michelle brings that information back to us. And I'm really surprised by the amount of elderly patients that just want thrillers or crime. I didn't expect it, but
That or wartime romances.
yeah.
Yeah, and we're really lucky. We just had the funding through to get a trolley to set up the same service in Yeovil District Hospital as well.
Yeah.
So I've got a volunteer over there who's done a few trips out with the book trolley and really successful. So yeah, thank you, Loveless Grove, if you're listening.
So part of our year of reading, we've also made 2 reading challenges. So we've got the summer reading challenge and the around the world challenge. And I know a few of us are participating. I know you're participating, aren't you, Dan? You started both. And Veronica, you are doing your around the world challenge. Yeah. What's been your thoughts so far of the books that you've read for the challenge?
It's been really good. It's been really interesting and fun. Sadly, I think the 2 books that I picked up from our collection didn't quite take my fancy, unfortunately, which is a shame. But other than that, everything I've read so far has been really good, really interesting, and not the kind of normal thing that I would pick up. So a lot of them were already kind of on my radar. The 2 in particular that I didn't love, I just kind of picked up because they were there. But I think that was more of a taste thing because they were both critically acclaimed, so that's why they're part of the collection. They just didn't quite agree with me, unfortunately, but
They were good books. I think we read the same books, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think it was more of the fact that they didn't really have a linear storyline.
Yeah.
So if people like a weird read, they're going to really enjoy them. I think it's a bit like Marmite.
Yes.
I think those are the kind of books that you really get along with if you like things don't have to make sense and you're quite happy to just be taken on a trip through a book.
Absolutely.
But if you need that linear, you need things to have a plot point at the end of the book. Yeah, I can agree with that. I personally discovered books that I wouldn't normally pick up. So I read Jacqueline Hartman, I Who Have Never Known Men. Probably not a book, but I would have picked up. It has now become my favourite read of this year and on the top sort of 5 books that I've ever read, which was really good. And it's a Belgium author, so it's not, probably wouldn't have come across it. It's an older book. I think it was published in 1992 or 1994. So again, not one that I would probably come across in sort of mainstream media, but thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. What books have you read from our...
From our collection, I have read The Blue Book of Nebo, which is by a Welsh author and was originally written in Welsh, and I believe the same author translated it into English. And that was a Carnegie Medal winner, I think in 2023. And so one that I'd sort of had on my radar and never got round to reading. So I was delighted to see it in the collection. And I would say for anyone who wants a short read and a book that leaves a lot to your own imagination, because it's quite spare writing. It's a kind of post-apocalyptic tale, but it does leave an awful lot to your imagination, but does it incredibly well. So I think of the 3 that I've borrowed, that has been my favourite. And I read Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who is one of my absolute favourite authors, and I've read everything else that she has written. And this book, I think, still has her just beautiful writing. I think she is one of just the best writers of English literature. And she's Nigerian, but her writing is sensational. But to me, I think it probably just disappointed me a little because it's sort of three separate tales in one book, and they just didn't quite hang together as again, like you were saying earlier, just it's not a completely linear narrative.
Yeah,
But I would still recommend it if you just love to read just beautiful sentences or sentences that you just go back to and think, how did anyone construct that sentence? It's a fabulous book.
and I think from the reviews that we've had from participants, I think the popular book so far, I know I've already mentioned it, but the Arc by Haruyuki has gone out about 4 times. That is a sort of a suspense, mystery, murder kind of thriller-esque. But that really enjoyed. We had one of our previous guests, Emily Hitchens, who borrowed that book and was floored by it, said that she started reading it out loud with her daughter as well. And they both absolutely loved it, to the point that Emily's come back and been like, please give us more murder mysteries. And so that was really nice. We've had the cozy ones go out, the cozy fantasy ones about the cat who saved the library and the cat who saved books. They've gone out a couple of times. And I think they're just a sweet, sort quite short, so people can go through them. And I think the other one I've noticed that's gone out a few times is the Poppy War trilogy series by R.F. Kuang. That one's gone out quite a few times as well. So it's been really lovely to see like also a variety of books go out, not just sort of like the niche ones that we have.
Yes. Yeah, there was a couple of recommendations actually that I had when some books were returned. So one of our regular readers, Lucy, got Star Child as part of the book blind date. So she didn't know she was getting it, and she said that that was particularly, I think, why she enjoyed it so much, is because it's not the kind of thing she would usually choose.
Yeah.
But it's like a non-fiction, almost autobiographical book, I think, about a lady, I can't remember the name of the author, but about her journey into sort of science and stargazing and all this kind of thing. And yeah, we were saying that she really, really enjoyed it. So she would recommend that to people. It was pretty positive. And another one of our regular readers has just finished The Book Thief, which I know is a very popular book anyway, but she said that it made her cry. And I sort of immediately said, oh, great. And thought, wait,
It's really something that's
not necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I very swiftly said, I like it when a book makes me feel something so deeply. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That even if it makes you cry, it's quite nice.
Yes.
You did great. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's nice, nice crying.
Yeah.
Not sad crying. So while we're on the topics of reading, does anyone have a current read that they would like to share?
So I'm currently reading The Odyssey, but not The Odyssey you
the
think.
film?
No. So the book is called The Odyssey, but it's by Laura Williams, and it's a contemporary literary fiction novel about it's set in present day. She essentially lives and works on a cruise ship. And the reason I picked it up is because it's called The Odyssey, and I was very curious in what ways it might reflect Homer's Odyssey. But also because one of my friends was talking recently about going on an extended cruise. And I have certain feelings about cruises. I'm not a big fan. I can't imagine why people would want to spend so much time on a boat. But so I thought I'd read a book and see whether that makes sense to me in that way. But it's good. I'm enjoying it so far.
Good.
It's not very, very similar to Homer's Odyssey at all, apart from the fact that they're at sea.
That's the shared title.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually reading a suggestion that you gave me, Kate, in one of our one-to-ones. I'm reading Wayward by Amelia Hart.
Oh yes, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, really liking it so far. I think I'm only about a quarter of the way through. But it follows sort of the lives of 3 women. And I think it's going to surround this cottage that they all at some point inhabited.
My lips are sealed.
But really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, I've just read her second one actually called Sirens, which is about mermaids, or rather sirens specifically, which are like slightly meaner mermaids. And I love a book with fantasy and whimsy in it. And it's really interesting because it's about sisters. It's like two sisters in the past that are on a Australian convict ship being shipped over to Australia, and then two present day sisters, and it's about kind of their individual stories, but also how they entwine as well. It really gripped me.
Okay.
Best thing I've read for a little while.
That sounds good. I really like her writing.
Would recommend. It's good.
It's a linear book and it flows. What about yourself, Veronica? What are you currently reading?
Well, I brought it in with me. I've finished it because it's a book I read with another book club that I belong to, not the Bookends Book Club that I run here. Although I will be recommending it for our list for next year.
Okay.
As you can probably see, it's absolutely stuffed with stuff as well. I have to prepare the questions on the book, so I had to read it very carefully and make lots of notes as I was reading it. So it's called The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. So it's her debut novel, published in America last year, I think. And it was a complete word of mouth hit. And I love a book like that has really been published with very little publicity, no big fanfare, but it's been picked up by people in a bookshop who've read it, passed it on to their friends, recommended it to their book clubs, and it's become kind of a worldwide bestseller.
Oh, wow.
And it's a bit different in that it's an epistolary novel, so it's entirely written in letters, emails, few newspaper clippings. And it's so gripping. So it tells the life story of a lady called Sybil Van Antwerp, and she was a sort of very high-flying judge's clerk. So she's had a very long career in the law, and she's had an incredibly interesting life. But throughout her life, she's been a letter writer, and she believes in writing letters by hand with a fountain pen, and she has a vast range of correspondence. And it's so well written because you just pick up so much about her personality from the way that she writes the letters and, the different ways that she addresses different people that she's writing to. It's very moving. You kind of find out about the major events that have happened during her long life. And again, it's quite heartbreaking in places, but it's just fabulous. I would recommend it to anyone to read. And certainly everyone in the book club that I belonged to loved it. I was originally sent my copy by one of my sisters who'd read it and said, I'm sending you this book because you'll love it. So it definitely is one of those books that I think once you read it, you'll want to tell everybody else about it. Yeah, it's so I would highly recommend that.
Sounds very good. I will add it to my ever-growing Goodreads TBR, as Kate was saying earlier. My favourite book that I always go back to, and I think I reread it about 3 or 4 times a year, is A Diary of Blood by S.T. Gibson. So I read it about 3 years ago, but it follows the wife of, so it's a retelling, it's like a Dracula retelling, but from a perspective of his first wife, Constantine. And it's told, I say almost through letters, but it's almost like a dialogue from her to him about their life together from beginning to end. And it's just really good. I really enjoy it. It is more of a contemporary piece of fiction, so it doesn't have like more modern day writing. But I thoroughly enjoy it. It is a very good read. And I don't want to say any more because otherwise I will end up spoiling it if anyone does read it. But yeah, it's very much a comfort read, I think, because at this point I know the story, I love the story. It is if I'm stuck in a rut and I don't know what to read, but I want to read something, it is the one that I automatically pick up my shelf, get through it in a night, and then I've sort of gotten over my little sort of reading. But
It's lovely to have a book like that. It's absolutely lovely. Pride and Prejudice is mine. I can't say how many times I had read Pride and Prejudice. It's exactly the same when I just can't think what to read, or just my TBR is so overwhelming that I don't know which one to pick. I'll just read Pride and Prejudice for a nice little break. Yeah.
Have you read Introducing Mrs. Collins by Rachel Paris?
I haven't read.
I read that quite recently. I was a big fan of Pride and Prejudice. I really enjoyed watching The Other Bennet Sister when it was on BBC, although I think it is based on a book, but I hadn't read the book before. But that's what encouraged me to pick up Introducing Mrs. Collins. which is really interesting because it's all about Charlotte Lucas, who isn't like a major character in Pride and Prejudice, but obviously she marries Mr. Collins. And it's about kind of her view of events and her life with Mr. Collins. It's just, I really, really enjoyed it. I've got it at home for
Oh, I will be fascinated.
add it to your big list of books to read, but it's really good.
I love spin-offs of Pride and Prejudice, and I was sent a proof copy of one that's coming out for the young adult market called Kitty and Mary. So again, it focuses, it's Kitty and Mary subtitled the Forgotten Bennet sisters, and it's their two stories. And again, it's written in letters. It's letters back and forth from them, and it's due to be published next month. So, and it's written by Imogen. Well, it's interesting. It's written by dual authors. So Imogen Russell Williams, who's the book critic for The Guardian, she's one of the authors, and someone called Julia Gray, who I believe they were at university together, studied English literature together. So that's highly rated.
It'd be interesting to know if they each took one of the sisters' perspectives.
I would love to know. Yeah.
What about yourself, Dan? What's your sort of like your go-to?
Go-to is a book called The Fisherman by Jonathan Langan,
Okay.
which I sort of picked it up on a whim. It was on a lot of the sort of you should read this lists that I tend to look at because I'm a big fan of horror, and it is very much a horror book. But it's like a cosmic horror. It's about a man who loses his wife and goes a bit off the rails, but then finds fishing, as you would expect from the title, as his kind of thing that brings him back into the real world. Many, many years later, the similar thing happens to one of his colleagues. The colleague loses his wife, so the main character takes him fishing. And it's a really nice story about grief and male friendship and bonding. But then on one of their trips, they go to a diner. They're looking for a new place to fish. And they hear this, the guy that works at the diner tells them the story. And this story takes probably half the book. It's this story within a story, which I really like anyway. And it's just really terrifying, full of folklore tale about this dam, which was created over the top of an old village that got flooded. Just quite scary. And they end up going to this place and fishing it, and things go horribly wrong. But it's great, and I don't know quite why I love it so much, but there is all these themes that are really well explored for a horror novel. And yeah, there's lots of folklore, there's lots of the cosmic horror elements are really well done. I just love it, and I read it probably at least once a year.
Yeah. It's nice to have a book like that. What would be yours, Kate?
I'd probably say Pride and Prejudice as well. to be
Yeah.
honest. It's just that like safe space. In fact, my friend got me for my birthday. I've got a poster, and it's like a picture and like white out of the characters, and it's actually the first few chapters of Pride and Prejudice is text, but different color text,
Yeah.
and that makes up the picture. So that's
I love artwork like that. Where there was one for the Runaway Bride. I can't remember what it's called, but my friend's really obsessed with it. So for her birthday one year, I bought her like the printout of like, the two main characters, and it's meant to be like the entire book sort of like written out to make the artwork. Yeah, it's really cool. So my next question would be, has anyone read anything that changed their way of thinking or taught them something new?
Yeah, actually, as a result of the international thing, and I made a new friend this year. She's Slovak, and it's a country that I know very little about. So I decided to pick up some Slovak books. I think it's called The Art of Power, something like this. I can't remember exactly the title. That's frustrating. But it's by Ladislav Mjako. Again, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's hard to pronounce Slovak names, but it's all about a communist leader who has passed away, and the country is kind of in mourning, but kind of not. And the whole story is told in flashback about his youth when he was essentially like a kind of freedom fighter against what was happening during World War II, and how his men all loved him, and he quickly rose to power, and the country loved him. And as soon as he kind of got into power, it pretty much immediately corrupted, and it's all about that thing of how power corrupts, and it just made me it changed my thinking ever so slightly. Because I didn't know an awful lot about um, communism in Eastern Europe, but it's always fascinated me, and also because it looked at it in a very different lens, I think, to the lens I had always thought of communism as a concept. I think sounds good and quite idealistic. If you read Marx, it's like, why doesn't that ever work? And then you kind of read a book like this, where it's actual people dealing with communism in a real world setting, and you see, oh, it doesn't work because people are people, and power goes to their heads and it corrupts, and that's why it always fails, basically. So yeah, it's really fascinating to see, to think of it in that way. Like, you can have the ideology on one hand and think it seems like it would make sense, but then when you put it in the hands of actual people, that's why
I
it
love
messes up.
Perspective that's yeah.
My one that I read this year actually is called Your Presence is a Danger to Your Life by a Syrian author, Samir Yazbek. And it's a Fiscardo Editions book, and it was released in May, but it features 26 testimonies from ordinary civilians in Gaza. So it's like after the bombing happened and after everything, and it's their perspective of just from day one, just them living their lives, and then everything that sort of happened to them up to the point of when she took their interviews. Um, and it is gut-wrenching to read. It was definitely one of those books that you have to read it sort of like one testimony at a time. But I think that I try and keep up with things in the news and as you do, but reading that is just what you don't hear about in mainstream media. And yeah, it was just really eye-opening just to see the accounts of just normal citizens. Like, they're not people in positions of power. They don't have any sort of political grandstanding. It's just, fathers and mothers and daughters and grandparents who are just living their day-to-day life, and how the decisions of people in power have affected their life to such an extreme. But yeah, I recommended it to one of our library users when they came to visit us at the stand. And I think they've gone away, and it was my personal copy, so it's not a book, but it's in our collection. But yeah, just absolutely just a breathtaking book, and just it was spectacular to read.
For anyone listening, I've just double checked, and that book I was recommending a minute ago is called The Taste of Power.
In terms of very recent reads, I read The Artist by Lucy Steeds earlier this summer. So it's purely fictional, but it's based on the art scene in France, just sort of between the First and Second World Wars. Again, it was a book that I read with the other book club that I belong to, and one of the members of that book club is actually an artist herself. And actually, I learned so much about art and how artists go about their work. It's an area of knowledge that I have literally no knowledge of. And I was again, the book is just beautiful. It's beautifully written. It's so evocative of the South of France, and a really good read. But it really did expand my knowledge, understanding of the way that people produce art, and then having a discussion with someone who is really an expert in that subject was just fantastic. So
That was really good.
I just love the way that fiction can teach you so much. It doesn't always, you kind of imagine that you learn from reading non-fiction, but actually both fiction, also just opens your eyes to new worlds.
But you, Kate?
See, I'm a bit different. I guess where I am at the moment, I'm really busy, so I read for like entertainment, and I don't have much headspace for things. I work full time. I've got teenagers, I've got parents that aren't in the best of health. So when I read, it's just I need to escape.
Yeah.
So I'm not really looking for books at the moment that particularly challenge or push me. I just want to be entertained.
I do like that books can do both, though. That you can just pick up a book, and I think I read And Now Back to You, which is like a chick flick romance book, and I
I
think
think I recommended
it was your recommendation as well. And I read the entire series on my holiday to France earlier this year, and I didn't have to think. It was just a really easy read, which was just really nice to read alongside something that is a little bit.
And that's the good thing about reading, isn't it? It can be whatever you need it to be, can't it? So and kind of meet you where you are emotionally, etc. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to bring up about the whole go all in message of the year of reading. That yeah, reading is for everyone, and no matter what your interest is or what your life situation is, there will be a book that suits you. And that's what we would love to encourage everyone, is just to choose books and see what things suits you. And that's the beauty of libraries as well, whether it's our library or the public library. You don't even need to spend money to experiment. There are thousands of books on the shelves. There are thousands of books on, and there are so many apps that you can borrow from the library or listen to from the library. And it's just experiment to see what suits you at the time.
And there are so many people giving recommendations. So if you don't know where to start, find a book that you have liked, and you can literally Google similar books to this, or read the reviews, see what comes up. Like there's Goodreads and it tags it all. And even saying that I say that I'm not a fan of sort of weird nonlinear books, but then there could be one book that I haven't read that is sort of considered a more specialist weird book that maybe one day I'll read and it will change my perception of that genre. Haven't found it yet, but when I do, I will let everyone know.
Yeah, there's lots on social media as well, like the whole book talk kind of thing. My Instagram's full of books and crochet patterns.
Doesn't sound so bad.
But I don't know, it just feels like it's really exploded. I don't know if it's since COVID, but it just seems to be kind of a bit more in the media now and kind of accessible in lots of different ways. And it doesn't have to be books; it could be graphic novels, or it could be audiobooks.
Yeah.
Which I know some of the members of the team really enjoy. I'm not really connected with them yet, but it's just different ways to access it for everybody, isn't it? So,
Yeah. I think having a bit of a longer drive to work, it is quite nice to just. Sometimes you want music, and sometimes it's just nice just to have the story going on in the background. Sometimes I will do a tandem read and I'll have the audiobook and then the ebook, and then I'll just, listen to it in the car, and I'll get home and I'll be like, right, let me finish this chapter quickly.
You see, I cannot listen to an audiobook in the car because I get so engrossed in the book. I would be a danger to other road users. But I listen to an audiobook when I walk into work because actually that takes away all the boredom from my long walk in work. So, yeah.
Is there a book that you've heard people talking about, but that you haven't read yet, but that you're really excited to get your teeth into? Because I've got The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins, and I've owned it for probably about 2 years, and it's been sat on my shelf, and I still haven't read it. But every time I see it, I've heard so many good things about it from people that have read it. And it's like a horror. It's about this man who calls himself God. And he has kidnapped 12 children and raised them to believe that he sort of like is God. And it's sort of horror, like when you say like cosmic, like, mythos kind of thing. But it's supposed to be one of those that kind of leaves you with really big feelings, but also at some points doesn't make sense, but also does make sense. And I've just had so many different accounts from different people, that I actually, like, yesterday I was like, right, this is going to be the next one that I read, because I keep looking at it and I keep being like, oh, I'll just read this one because it's a bit shorter. But I think I'm finally going to sink my teeth into it.
Okay. I would say the book in that category for me is Land by Maggie O'Farrell. So that's the latest publication by Maggie O'Farrell. And she, again, is an author that I absolutely love. I've read everything that she's written so far. But it's a very chunky hardback at the moment. And my bookshelves at home are so overflowing that I just have to wait till it's added to paperback. And then I will be buying it. And it goes straight to the top of the pile. But I just can't bring myself to go and buy it in hardback because I've got no shelf space for it yet.
Yeah. What about yourself, Kate?
There's a book called Yesteryear that I keep seeing everywhere, but it's really good. So that's on my list. So
A friend of mine has read that and said the hype
is it worth it?
really not worth it.
Oh,
Don't, just as a word of warning, at least don't buy it while it's still on back, because she was very disappointed given all the hype that it had had.
Okay, interesting. I will approach with caution then.
So I've recently heard about a book called Black Bag by Luke Kennard. I don't know whether that's his latest or his previous, but there's a couple of books out by Luke Kennard that both look really interesting. Black Bag sounds bizarre. There's an experiment that happened in the US in some university where the professor had one of the students come to class for an entire year or an entire semester in a black bag, and he was referred to by the whole class as Black Bag, and he just in a way of, I guess, questioning identity in an unusual way. So anyway, this is a fictionalization of that story and how it felt to be the person inside the black bag.
Okay.
I just think it sounds very weird and very interesting.
The kind of psychological version, isn't it?
I do like those fictions that are based off something, like you were saying, based off something in real life where you learn something, but it just, because it is written in like a fiction story format, almost more engaging than just reading sort of like accounts on the internet. I think
Just like a different perspective.
yeah. So now for a section that I'm really excited about, it's a quick fire round. So I was thinking we could go round in a circle, maybe from sort of starting at Veronica and then Dan. And I'll ask the question and you've got to pick which one it would be.
Okay.
So would you rather paperback, hardback, or audiobook?
Paperback.
I agree, paperback.
I'm kind of into my hardbacks, but I just need sprayed edges at the moment.
It's paperback for me.
Oh, yeah, I do actually have to say an addendum. I love my hardbacks with a special edition. My shelf can't hold anymore. So paperback, just for the pleasure of being able to fold back the pages. And when I own it and I break the spine, it's my book.
Yeah, and I also say ebook as well. So because it's easier to pick up and read on the screen at the moment.
Well, that is
heavy
very
books.
true. Fiction or non-fiction?
Fiction.
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 Favorite genre?
That's so hard. I have to go between cozy wild and historical fiction.
Okay.
Those are my two favourite.
Yeah, mine would be cozy fantasy with like a murder mystery into it. Or honestly, just a chick flick, just a really easy romance, read fantasy romance, anything that I can just be like, that was cute.
Yeah, I'm big into my romantasy era at the moment. Nearly middle-aged. Anything with dragons in Fairytale, I'm in. So
Ordinarily for me it would be horror, but having checked my Goodreads ratings recently, sounds horribly pretentious, but it seems to be contemporary literary fiction.
Cool. Okay. Multiple books at once or one book at a time?
Oh, multiple. I'm according to my Goodreads, I'm currently reading 38 books. Wow. Because you see, I get sent so many to review and they're children's books. And there's such a wide variety that I read lots of them in parallel with each other. And then I do always have 2 book club reads on the go at the same time. I usually do have a non-fiction. I've always got an audiobook on the go, and I've usually got something on my Kindle too. So I do read, multiple.
I was going to say multiple, but maybe no more than 3, and Veronica's over here with 38 books. No, I agree. Multiple. I have different streams depending on what I'm reading. What about yourself?
yeah, multiple. I've usually got one ebook on the go and one physical book on the go.
Yeah.
Same, multiple. Yeah, I quite like big, dense books, but there's only so much time in the day, and sometimes you just need to relax with something a bit easier.
Yeah. Your favorite reading spot?
I don't think I have one. Okay. Because I just read everywhere.
Wherever.
Yeah, so I literally do not have one favourite spot.
We've got a beanbag on the balcony, and then I'll have my little fluffy dog next to me with a cup of tea. It's very nice. I don't get to read there often because weather depending, and obviously depending at what time of night it is, but I do like that in the summer.
Yeah, I would say probably either in bed, which is like my only reading time, like half an hour, I'm nodding off before I go to sleep, or the corner of my sofa in the living room. And even last year I crocheted what's called a book blanket. So every square has 4 colours from the book jacket of the book I just read. So I got 300 books last year just so I can make a decent sized blanket. So obviously not at the moment during the heat wave, but when it cools down a bit, I'll be curled up on the sofa underneath my book blanket with a book and a cup of tea.
Mine is in the garden, lounger. I just love getting out, weather permitting. Obviously, it's been a relatively good summer, you could say, for that this year. Although a bit too hot at times, but no, I love reading outside on the lounger.
Zola next.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the little go next to me, perfect.
Most underrated book you've read?
Underrated by me or underrated?
Sorry. That doesn't get a lot of hype, but that you read it and you were like, why is this book not more popular?
Oh my goodness. Do you know, I'm going to say a children's book by Lissa Evans. Lissa Evans gets quite a lot of attention as an adult writer because she's written some really hugely popular books as an adult writer. She's written a children's book as a middle grade book, so it's aimed at sort of children probably age 9 to 12, and it's called Wished. And I honestly think it's one of the best books. It's funny, it's wildly imaginative, and it's got real heart at the centre of it. And I think it's one of the best children's books written in the last 10 or 15 years, and it gets no publicity at all.
Okay.
It has now.
Mine would be The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, which is a really cozy, sort of fantasy-esque book that has romance in it. But it's about an undertaker and sort of her relationship with I can't remember what his role is called, but he's essentially like the town guard. But that's by Megan Banning, and I've heard a few people talk about it, and then I've had a few people that were like, "Oh, I didn't really like it," and I read it a couple of years ago, and it was just really sweet. I really enjoyed it.
I think there's a book that I read a few years ago now. I think it's ironically called Bookends, by Jane Green, which is like cozy romantic book, and it's about a lady who opens up a bookshop with a cafe in it, and that's like, oh, that's my other life if I wasn't doing this. And I don't see much about it, but it's my favourite.
Nice. This might sound a bit strange because it's a Stephen King, and if there's one thing Stephen King is not, it's underrated. But the book that I love of his in particular is Duma Key. And I always think everyone knows Carrie and everyone knows It and The Shining and all those books, but I never hear anyone talking about Duma Key, and I absolutely loved it. It's about a chap who gets in a workplace accident and loses an arm and moves to Florida for his retirement. And again, being a Stephen King, it's a horror, so things go a little bit wrong. But I think for me, possibly because such a lot of his books are set in New England, the difference of having a book set in Florida, you can tell he's done quite a lot of work to get that atmosphere into the book, and it really feels like whilst you're reading it, certainly for me, it felt like I was on holiday in Florida, which was just glorious.
What would be your desert island book?
Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice. Yeah. I think, although I said my favourite was A Diary of Blood, I think if I had to take a book to a desert island, I would probably take I Who Have Never Known Men, because I think A Diary of Blood would, I don't want to say it become boring after like 10 reads, but I Who Have Never Known Men leaves you on a bit of like a cliffhanger with the world, and I feel like I could speculate more.
Yeah.
I think if I was stranded on a desert island, it'd be like how to survive on a desert island.
That would make sense.
So if we were talking about like luxury resort, I think anything by Emmy Henry, just like a proper like beach read. I mean, literally, she has a book called Beach Read, but there are other books that she's read, and you just don't have to think about.
Nice. I think probably it would be The Fisherman by John Langan for me.
Yeah.
As I've already mentioned, I can read it endlessly. But I have recently read a manga called Solanin by Inyo Asano, which I really loved, and I've read it 3 times already since picking it up 2 months ago, and it's quick and easy to read because it's a manga, but there's always something in there that I didn't quite catch the first time I read it, or it's really nice. It's about struggling against adversity and doing what you have to do to achieve your dreams, and I think on a desert island, when you're potentially trying to get off the desert island, it might be good to have a driving force behind you.
Yeah. Who's an author you'd invite to dinner?
If I could resurrect her, Jane Austen.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Maggie O'Farrell.
Yep. If resurrection was possible, I would choose Jacqueline Hartman, who was the author of I Who Have Never Known Men, because again, there is so much speculation with the world and how the character got to where she is. that I need answers to what she wanted the world to be compared to what I think the world is.
Yeah.
That would be my pick.
Yeah, I just said Jane Austen as well.
Yeah.
If I can't resurrect the dead, then maybe Sarah J. Maas to find out what's going to be in the next Akatar book.
For very similar reasons, I'm gonna request George R.R. Martin, because I suspect we're not getting an end to that
Finding what
series.
happens.
So I need to meet him so that I can find out what the
And then write the book yourself.
Yes.
That was the last of my quick fire round. So looking ahead, what are you most looking forward to sort of like the rest of the year of reading? And have you got like any future reading events that you're excited about?
For the rest of the year of reading, I think just continuing to work my way through my huge TBR pile. I have many books at home waiting to be read. Book events. I haven't actually booked tickets yet, but there's a crime novelist, Ellie Griffiths, who I have seen before at an event, but she's doing an event in Bath during Christmas market season. So, I have actually already booked a day off work so that I can go to the Bath Christmas markets and go to her event in the evening. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And just continuing to chat to people that use our library and that are involved and want to read the books that we've got to offer. And then one other thing I would say, something else that I'm looking forward to, is that we are planning a visit to the NHS site at Wells, and I've had a few discussions due to the children's book giveaway that we ran with the speech and language therapy team there, and they use children's books as a part of their service. They encourage parents to read with their children, which is vitally important for building vocabulary, etc. So I'm really looking forward to our visit there and to talking to them further about how we can support them with that work.
Yeah. I just like you said before, just the conversations that you've just had to people outside of just like a work environment. I mean, still in a work environment, but more about the well-being and the reading. And I think I'm really looking forward to seeing how the challenges progress. Because obviously we're coming up towards the end of the summer reading challenge in a couple of weeks. So it'll be really interesting to see who finished the challenge, what their thoughts were, what they thought of the challenge. And I've really enjoyed just the different perspectives from the International Reading Challenge. It's been really nice. And just getting through my TBR at some point. One day.
Agreed. I read quite a lot of fantasy and romantasy series, and there's quite a few like next editions that are coming out in the next 2 years. So I'm already like, I wonder if I could have that day off just to catch up on that. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully get to read those when they come out. But also kind of celebrating the end of the reading challenges and giving out some prizes, and just to have that opportunity to celebrate the reading that's happened in the trust and the organisations that we're starting to have. And for me, hopefully it isn't just 1 year of reading. Hopefully we'll be able to kind of continue these conversations into the following years as well. So
yeah, you just reminded me that the second one of The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gilling is coming out.
it's on the list.
Sort of like September.
There's about 3 or 4 that I'm like,
I'm excited for. I listened to the audiobook of that one actually, and I'm really looking forward. It's the same voice actor.
Yeah,
who's doing the second audiobook. It's so good the way she just does Bartholomew. Yeah, I'm just sorry.
we digress. Dan, we'll be here all day otherwise.
Just to echo all you guys, I think I'm really looking forward to the challenges winding up. Not because I want them to end, but because I think it's going to be really interesting seeing people becoming more frantic trying to finish them, perhaps. And just all the conversations that it's generated has been really, really lovely to see, and hopefully we have more of that. And as far as future events, I think another blind date with a book wouldn't go amiss, because that's always
really popular. Yeah. I'm already planning challenges for next year, which I'm excited. But I think the summer one will have to stay because that's quite fun. But it might be nice to have like a yearly theme challenge too, which is in the works. So just to wrap up, Veronica, have you got any research news that you'd like to share?
Oh, yes. Thank you, McGann. Very briefly, I'm just going to again encourage everyone who listens, who's working across healthcare, across Somerset, in any role, at any band, to please complete the Somerset Organisational Readiness Tool, which is known as the SORT Tool Survey. We will include a link to that in the show notes, and you should actually see posters going up around the hospital sites this week, as well as some promotional stands coming to a venue near you over the next month. And it's just so important because we know that research benefits everyone, that hospitals that are engaged in research score much more highly in their patient care scores. And the research delivery department really needs everyone's views to help understand how research is supported across our systems, to identify our strengths and to really highlight where improvements are needed. So please, everyone, take 10 minutes out of your day to please fill in that tool. Thank you.
And then, yeah, just to wrap up, I think it's obvious what our resource of the month is going to be. Come check out our new international curated corner and the wellbeing books. I think we've just done an extended reading corner really for the entire.
There's lots of book recommendations for everybody, and there's something for everyone, hopefully.
But yeah, if you're looking for somewhere to start, we've obviously got our Bookends book club that you can join. But we've also got, as we were saying, recommendations from not only us but from other staff and colleagues around the trust on our website. And you can also feel free to join our little reading corner on Teams. So just pop us an email, which I will leave in the description below.
We've got a few quiet book club events happening, some at Musgrove and I think some at the Wellspring sites as well. So
There's one at Foundation House.
there's a few of those up until the end of December. So
yeah.
check those out on the website as well.
So the dates will be posters and dates and all of those dumb things. But yeah, thank you. It was Dan's first podcast. How I give you
That was great. That bound on me.
But yeah, it was lovely to just have a nice chilled one with the team, I think. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one. So thank you very much for listening.